Is the Brics gold-backed currency coming? They've been rumors for months circulating of a new gold-backed international currency by Brics alongside fears that it will spell disaster for America, and the dollar as international legal tender. But how likely is it really? And when it might happen? To be honest, I think the likelihood of this happening is just in the realm of 6%, because the Brics nations have experimented with settling payments amongst themselves before, but failed spectacularly. But someone may say maybe they have learned from their mistakes. Only time will tell if they decide to go through with this system. How gold used to set the standard. Currencies today are not backed by anything of tangible value, meaning that nations can simply print more when it needs more, and some do that a little too much. It's one of the reasons why inflation is rampant in certain countries, but it wasn't like that. There was time when something called the gold standard that guided economies. To simplify, the gold standard, nations set the price of gold by calculating how much of their currency was in circulation, compared with how many ounces of gold were kept in reserve. If more gold was acquired, more money could be printed. Gold is a precious metal that never corrodes, and cannot be counterfeited or replicated. It's the perfect manifestation of value in a malleable, eternal form that supported stable and sensible economies for centuries until 1945. How America fooled the world to use its currency as the legal tender. In July 1944, 44 Allied nations gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, USA, to design a new international monetary system that would facilitate post-war reconstruction. After World War II, the United States emerged as a major economic and industrial power. Its strong and stable economy at that time was backed by abundant resources and infrastructure that remained largely intact during the war, because America was on the other part of the world during the war. As a result, the United States dollars was seen as a reliable and secure currency, making it an attractive choice for other countries to hold as reserves. Under the Bretton Woods system, gold was set at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce, and the standard was born. How the USA broke its promise to the world. Nations sent gold to America by the boatload, and the USA Treasury kept the bullion safe. In return, those nations received United States dollars at the $35 fixed rate. International trading began, and the Bretton Woods system was celebrated. Central banks could return surplus United States dollars to the USA and receive gold at the standard rate whenever they desired. The dollar was literally good as gold, and confidence in America was at an all-time high. That all changed on 15 August 1971, when American President Richard Nixon announced the suspension of the dollar's convertibility into gold. That decision was known as the Nixon shock. This decision was in response to a growing trade deficit and increasing international speculation against United States dollars by France and other European countries. As a result, countries could no longer recover their gold by returning their dollar holdings to the USA. Gold from 46 nations was kept locked away in America's vaults, and several Federal Reserve banks around America, with international access simply denied. It was a dirty trick played on the world that most countries seem to have forgotten about. Why the US abandoned the agreement. During the late 1960s, the United States experienced a significant trade deficit, which meant that the country was importing more than it was exporting. This led to disturbing outflow of United States dollars. At the time, the USA faced a triple whammy of domestic economic challenges, rising inflation, and a costly war in Vietnam. Concerns over the United States dollar's stability and negative speculation were on the rise, and some countries doubted the US could maintain its commitment to converting dollar to gold at the $35 per ounce fixed rate. And so a gold drain ensued, similar to bank run, in which central banks around the world began converting their surplus dollars back into gold. The White House panicked and broke an agreement that had been in place for almost 3 decades. Gold prices doubled overnight, and in less than a decade rocketed by 1,825%, making it impossible for those nations to buy back their gold using their surplus United States dollars. And so, nations were forced to continue using the dollar as a reserve currency, which brings us to today. But the tides are turning. De-dollarization speculation has begun. Many economists believe that de-dollarization is a fairy tale being told to people, but to understand if an alternative to the United States dollar's reserve really is on the cards, we should start by asking, is there a good reason to create one? It's not hard to imagine the appeal: an independent currency, not tied to one nation's economy or government, is an attractive proposition. Countries wishing to trade with others wouldn't need to give up valuable goods or commodities in order to receive stacks of paper that might lose their value overnight. USA media loudly insists the dollar is a safe choice. But is it? And for whom? Not for a country that finds itself on America's naughty list and at the mercy of White House policy mercy, not being a quality America is famous for. The USA controls the SWIFT international payment system, which allows it to weaponize international monetary transfers at the push of a button. Many countries have had their economies held to ransom in this way by America's sanctions over the last 50 years. Iran, Cuba, North Korea, Russia, Venezuela, Syria, Myanmar, Zimbabwe, Sudan, China, and recently South Africa have all at point refused to yield to America's interests and found themselves sanctioned. But there are other economically weak countries that have simply bowed to USA pressure after being threatened with restrictions. And of course, countries relying on and holding United States dollars have seen their national wealth diminish as their precious commodities are passed on to the USA in return for paper of questionable value. That value has been dropping year after year as the USA debt ceiling broke and expanded, with trillions of dollars printed and dispatched to balance international debt. United States dollar's true devaluation is undeniable, but is only felt by other nations. The USA has kept its economy afloat on debt through a scheme of essentially borrowing money from one country to pay another over and over again, but such a system cannot last forever, and our generation may be the one to see this socio-economic house of cards collapse. Will European Union abandon the dollar? This have been seen by France and other European countries, calling African and Asian countries on the World Summit to talk about the need to strengthen monetary ties amongst themselves. The thing is, in 2008, the EU's economy was 10% larger than the USA. Fast forward to 2024, and USA GDP is projected to be 50% larger than all of Europe's combined, exceeding $25 trillion. Even strong and loyal allies are feeling the sharp end of the United States dollar's stick now. The White House claims its allies are unwavering, but against its wishes. Japan has already started buying oil from Russia, and France's President Macron is rumored to be attending the next Brics summit on 22 August. Skeptics say that another currency cannot replace the dollar, because not enough countries will adopt it. But that theory is weakening with every passing month. As of 2024, United States dollars is forecasted to be used in around 47% of international trades. But that number is already falling even before an alternative currency is available. What then will that number be after Brics release a gold-based currency? The 5 Brics countries represent a substantial 40% of the world's population. If you add the 30+ countries currently applying for Brics membership, that rises to well over 50%. If all of these countries start to partially use Brics currency instead of the United States dollars, the rest of the world will likely follow, purchasing some of the currency in order to trade with 37 nations alliance. And in a domino effect, dollar foreign reserves holdings would most likely plummet, leaving the USA with hyperinflation. When might we see this mythical currency? This currency might be announced on Tuesday 22 of August on the Brics next summit. Others say these 5 nations are far away from revealing this new world order. But what do you think? The rumor began several years ago, but got its first official endorsement during June, when Deputy Chairman of Russia's state Alexander Babikov told reporters that Brics alliance was creating a new currency, backed by gold and other precious commodities. But India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, he said there were no immediate plans to introduce a currency, stressing that Brics currency would continue to be a matter of national concern for India for the foreseeable future. India's perspective is shaped by its own unique economic circumstances and geopolitical considerations, relying on trade relationships with the West and being afraid of an economic standoff with America. Moreover, there are historical tensions and disputes between India and China that could be influencing India's approach to the alliance. India's is wary of China's power and motives, and fears that Brics alliance might become too China-centric. Conclusion: so we have Russia saying a Brics currency is coming, India saying not yet, China pushing for it, and dozens of countries asking for it. An alternative to the United States dollars is coming, and it might be soon. Given what Nixon did to 46 nations, it's not hard to imagine how the USA will react. De-dollarization might be the perfect excuse for the USA to default on its $33 trillion international debt, and with the Fed pushing to create a fully digital American economy, this really could be the end for the United States dollars. But this is all campfire speculation until it isn't. When the USA broke its promise and ditched the gold standard, nobody could believe it. And nobody saw it coming. Such a massive decision wasn't made overnight, so secrets were kept until the last moment. The USA is once again facing domestic economic challenges, including rising inflation and costly war interventions, similar to what influenced America's betrayal 5 decades ago. If history is repeating itself, then a paradigm shift is surely on the horizon. But de-dollarization won't happen overnight. Implementing a gold-backed currency would require addressing some heavy logistical challenges first. For instance, deciding where to store the physical gold reserves and ensuring their security and accessibility would be crucial. The obvious and easy option would be to create a gold-backed cryptocurrency, but so far a crypto approach to the Brics currency has not been publicly discussed. Gold distribution among Brics would also need to be carefully considered to avoid concentration of power in any one country, the very thing the nations are trying to eliminate. The coming Brics summit might bring some clarity to the speculation. You can be sure that an announcement, or lack thereof, will affect the market either way, so be ready to hold on gold alongside Bitcoin. This could be an opportunity of a lifetime, guys. If the Brics nations announce that currency, then speculators should buy gold and sell American oil and another related United States dollars assets, like its currency pairs and indexes. The truth is that we're in a phase of economic exploration and evolution, and only time will tell. One thing is for sure though, whenever there's a financial paradigm shift, some people barely survive, while others thrive and profit from the historic moment.